Right, perfect. Thanks for joining after lunch. Again, thanks for the introduction as well. Today I want to talk about us and how we have accompanied enterprises in LoRaWAN exploration. Winke and Johan in this morning in our opening keynote mentioned we really see a rapid growth and an adoption and requests for enterprises to adopt LoRaWAN as a technology. I think that is representative for other IoT technologies who are getting more a focal point for enterprise IT systems. And just to give you a bit of an example, we currently see that worldwide. There is really no pattern to it. We are in multiple verticals from transportation management, tracking, air quality monitoring, etc. So there are use cases which we, with our team, have to introduce and help our enterprise customers scale up through that process of sometimes multiple years to get to a sizable deployment which operates at a good level of efficiency. The thing is, this is usually not an I make the buying decision and I will be there and we can just deploy and roll out, but it is typically a process over multiple years. 2 years would be very fast. We have had enterprise customers who do that, who we accompany for 4 years before we say you guys are really at an operations phase. And so it's not really a day on the beach, but it feels more like a really, really long swim. And I think who could relate to that is this lady who is an amazing athlete. So it really resonated for me because if you are at a customer who says to us like, wow, yeah, now we've made it, we've integrated it, we feel comfortable about the operations. It feels more like we sit like this on the beach. This is Sarah, who actually swam the English Channel. She didn't only do it once, but she did it 4 times in a row. And that's a 21-mile gap. And I don't know, I always feel like it relates to us. So if we look at this, she actually swims with a boat that helps her steer, very much what the ecosystem does with our enterprise customers. You have people who are pacing you, who are going ahead, and then finally on the other side, after multiple years, you might climb on that beach and you're happy, like we've made it. I know some here in the audience definitely know that feeling, and I think we're excited to have more of that. This must be a salty cup of champagne, I think, that's after so many hours in the water. What I find interesting, though, is this is how the actual GPS tracking looks like. So you would think it's a straight swim, but you can see that she actually has these curvatures. So there are really strong currents along the way. And one of these currents, why that resonated so much, is that here in this event as well, I hear solution providers push this idea of plug and play. We need more plug and play, we're going broader, we are addressing more enterprises, we need more standardized systems, we have to maybe also absorb more parts of the value chain. So I see solution providers who are taking services on which are not inherently what they are specialists in. For us, this would be our network server, but we don't want to offer more services in the surrounding area. Why? It is a bit of a trap, and it's a bit of a false promise early on in this swim. That would be the low tide, basically, pushing you in one direction. Plug and play allows you to sell quickly, right? Like you have a sales calls, you sparked a bit of curiosity, people have been maybe on our community network, and they want to get out the gate fast. And now it is very tempting to just offer end-to-end solutions, more services that we completely control, but this doesn't scale. A year later, we will see the same companies who have been validating these business cases. They have scaled up further, and now the tide changes. So now we're going into a phase where it's about integration. The IT team is annoyed, why do you have this island solution? The security team is like, we can't really plug into that auditing system. We haven't really looked at it. They might need a year to really look at the solution, to dissect it, instead of absorbing that into their infrastructure. So what I want to do is I want to walk through a few of the dilemmas our customers and we have been facing over the last years. And with our solution, the ThinkStack, which is again this network management software in a LoRaWAN deployment where you have devices, the gateways, then our management software, and then we pass on the data on the other side. And that learning for us, which I hope will guide you as somebody who is building, but also somebody who is offering solutions, is what we launched last year officially with the ThinkStack Enterprise as Helm charts or for deployments in Kubernetes clusters, which not only gains in popularity, but is a very popular solution now in enterprises to run large, growing, and enterprise-type software. So ease of access versus security hardening. It is always a bit of a struggle, but let's swim the channel together, right? Like at the moment, at the beginning, you have a new technology. So the idea is we want to give access to the full suite immediately, right? Like let's just go into the console. This is how our console looks. And just create another admin user, right? Like, oh yeah, I figured that out. Let's learn, let's experiment, let's fail, let's pick the right solutions. And as we are progressing, if we made out a playbook, we might want to roll that out to other teams within our enterprise. Another site should learn it. Maybe the operations team should pick it up. So we would then transition to more using these playbooks, which we figured by clicking, ClickOps, use the CLI to create playbooks on how to replicate that setup. And we're halfway through the channel, and you already see with the CLI we go now into scripting. So if we only had this rigid plug-and-play solution, it caps out very quickly. Because after that, the tide changes. We are in an operations phase where enterprises demand, we want to be integrated into our identity provider. We want roles that are defined, that are controlled by our existing structure on how we operate that infrastructure. And these are typically two teams. So they literally start that conversation 1 or 2 years into a project. Centralization versus autonomy. I brought here a little bit of the architecture of how that looks, and in the middle is the product. You see our microservices, which are in this box of what we are shipping as Helm charts in our case. And here it's the same thing. In the beginning, you don't really want to figure out how to do logging, how to do monitoring. It's not important because you're not at scale yet. You don't have operational issues that you have to debug. Nobody will ask how the performance was. So the idea here is to ship. The ThinkStack allows you to deploy with Helm charts into an infrastructure with default parameters, but then you can use the surrounding services to solve things like, again, like monitoring, logging, audit trails, etc. Just use existing solutions out there. We have these connectors, but we don't offer that as part of our product. We are flexible. Once the tide is changing, you might as well replace them one by one as your integration requirements increase. You can interchange these solutions as you wish. You can look into what is my data handling strategy, what's my backup strategy within our enterprise, and you can start interchanging and integrating the ThinkStack and your deployment into the existing teams. CIOs tend to love it. We say, look at it, say, okay, I don't have to worry about it early on because we can always change it. And I can also make the decision later on, once I understand what the scale of my deployment is, do I have to hire for it? Do I want to integrate it into my existing teams? Which teams, right? All these questions we can answer once we're half the channel and there is no going back, right? The gateway, what we announced last year, is another really interesting example. Gateway management is really, really hard. If you have one gateway on your desk, I mean, I'm sure most of you have played with that before. It is quite important, right? Get your hands on an indoor gateway, configure it yourself, learn how to set it up, learn how to register it to get a feeling for what it actually entails. But in an operations phase, halfway through the channel, you will have to decide, am I going to outsource the operation to a third-party provider? Will I actually build the capacity within the enterprise to operate these gateway deployments? Or do I want to go with a managed service like the ThinkStack and the Things Indoor Gateway Pro, which offers a fully managed gateway, so you can just lean on it for a fixed fee instead of integrating that? You have to be flexible. That's why we see 95% of our customers not using our managed service, but using and building that capacity in a million different shapes. Scaling and economics. LoRaWAN deployments, we love that question. What are the benchmarks for our servers? It's super hard to say, right? It really depends on your use case. Do you send a message a day? Do you send one a minute? Where are these servers? What does your deployment look like? So every customer has literally different requirements. And the idea here is that Helm charts in Kubernetes allow you to segregate the microservices, which are indicated here on the slide, into different pods, right? Like if you're familiar with Kubernetes. So in the beginning, again, allocate plenty of resources. It's not the time to worry about operational parameters, but it is about getting out the gate, validating that LoRaWAN is a good way to go and that the use cases are important for your organization. But then if you go into efficiency, if you go into scale, and the builds for maybe cloud providers or your own infrastructure are actually becoming more and more important, start thinking about it, and you can allocate the right resources vertically, horizontally. How many instances? Do I need failover? Do I need geo-redundant data centers, etc.? All of that is possible to handle later on, once you're further into your swim and closer to shore of the British coastline, if you want so, or at least the scaled IoT deployment. So my call for you is, don't fight the tides, right? Allow and pick your providers and partners that allow you to pivot and to adjust and to focus on the right things at the right time of your journey, of your IoT journey. To our fellow solution providers, stay flexible. Don't try to absorb it. Continue to specialize and collaborate, have standardized adapters, engage us as a partner. How can you offer services that help our customers early on in the swim? How can you offer solutions that allow customers at scale to grow at and work at as efficiency? If you want to do so, the ThinkStack comes also as a free discovery version, or on TTN, the community version. So anybody, wherever you are, even if you don't have a commercial intention, get started. Give all of it away in control and let us host it for you on our cloud deployments, which are then there with the ThinkStack Cloud and Cloud Plus to really help you scale. Or if you decide, again, you want to incorporate that and you want to own the entire infrastructure, the ThinkStack Enterprise with Kubernetes is there. And my colleagues are here at the Things Industries booth to help you through that process and through your questions. So I'm very curious, how far in the swim are you? How tired are you? We're pretty excited to help you make the last mile. Thank you.